Next up, what you guys are looking at is what is called a horn enclosure. This horn enclosure is designed after the front loaded horn enclosure. Most people would call this a folded horn enclosure. But as you can tell over here in the corner, this is a sealed section. It incorporates a sealed section with a horn or wave guide attached to the front of it. Some people call this, I believe, a bass scoop. You would also see people calling this. These are very popular for concerts and such. Also, the tap horn enclosure is also very, very popular for concerts because with a wave guide design such as this, they're very directional. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys the difference, not only in size, just of these three different enclosures, but the way that it's incorporated. Once again, this front loaded horn enclosure has a sealed section and it has a line attached to the front of it. Not a T-line. Don't get a transmission line confused with what this actually is. This is a wave guide design, but that's an actual horn and not a transmission line. Okay? All right, so what you guys are looking at right now is the flat pack for this horn enclosure. Not a lot of wood here, but just translate this up ×3 and then you would see that it would take well over a complete 8 by 4 foot, 8 foot by 4 foot sheet of plywood, or MDF in this case, in order to build this enclosure. These enclosures can get massive, and this is only for one driver. So just think about it. All this wood just for a single 4-inch driver. One of the most important things after you get through cutting your wood is to do a dry fit. And that's what you see me doing now, is the dry fit, just to make sure that everything pans out the way it's supposed to be. You do not want to start assembly without first doing a dry fit, because any little minute mistake could cost you a whole lot of time and effort. Right now what you see is me, marking all the angles in which I have to cut. Some of these angles are actually mislabeled, but just know that in the end everything panned out for the best. So my table saw actually has like this little mechanism where it can cut angles for you up to 45 degrees, and that's what I use in order to pretty much chamfer some of the edges on these things. Just be careful when you're doing this. These table saws can kick this wood back into your chest, and no one wants that. So just be careful with all of this when you're cutting any piece of wood, especially when you're using an angle like that, because it increases the surface area in which the wood is touching of the blade. And then now this is what it looks like once I got all my angles cut. And now we move on to everyone's favorite part of the build, is the sanding. And yes, I'm being highly sarcastic right now because no one likes to sand. But just know that, the thing to keep in mind when sanding, in order to muscle through this, is just always remember that the finished product is going to be something amazing. It's a reason you're doing this, right? Get all those rough edges out, and as you guys can see right here, it simply erases itself with a good sheet of sandpaper. In this case, I'm using 80 grit, and it leaves a pretty good finish on it. I'm not going to veneer this or anything, so 80 grit is good. Next up is wiring. I'm showing you guys right now these two pieces of wire right here because I want to share with you how I create a twisted pair. A twisted pair is something that you would want to do anytime you can, because it creates a pretty much a layer of protection against interference with that of, sometimes you get that vehicle hum in your speakers and you're wondering where it come from. Most people would say bad ground. A lot of times it's because your speaker wire is a little bit too close to power wire. Any signal wire running next to a power wire will create interference as well. Twisted pairing is just one way to mitigate that. All right, so now what we're gonna do is get the hose screwed into the cabin. I did not record this for the horn enclosure, but I did do it for the bass reflex, so that's what I'm gonna be showing you guys today. Very simple. Get a drill bit that's slightly smaller than the screw that you're using, and allow that screw to force its way in and thread that wood for you, and this will create a more airtight fit for you. And there you go. And if you guys are wondering about any of the material that's used in this video, you look in the description below and I have some affiliate links down there for Amazon. And this is what it looks like. Next up is going to be the speaker installation. I went on Amazon and I found these little female pairs right here, these little connectors, and all I'm doing is just crimping everything on so that I can get the woofer installed. And there's that gasket I showed you guys earlier. I made a gasket using shop mat and some hot glue. This gives a very thick padding so that it can mitigate any air leakage that you would have coming from around the woofer. The default one or factory one gasket that came with this woofer was very thin, and I know it probably would work, but I wanted to ensure that no air leaked out of this thing because it's such a small design, and any little minute imperfections like that is gonna, be well pronounced in a design this small. And as you guys can see, I'm getting good compression. Kind of hard to fit my hands in there, but with this 90-degree attachment right here, it makes things very, very easy. So that's what I'm doing, putting larger or longer screws in the bottom because I didn't want to run the risk of damaging the subwoofer. So get that 90-degree up in there as best I can, which was kind of a pain at first, but it worked itself out in the end. All right, so everything looks buttoned up. Now it comes time for the stuffing. Now this is controversial. Some people don't do this, but I think that any sealed enclosure really need this, especially on such a small scale like this, because for some reason, the smaller the woofer, the more pronounced those resonances are bouncing around inside those cabinets. So you want to kind of mitigate that by putting something soft in there and allowing it to kind of muffle some of that coming out of here. One thing I did not do was stuff the line. I should have stuffed the line. Sometimes it helped, flatten the response, and also the same thing as, muffling some of those resonances, whatever. But I didn't worry about it in this case. I didn't want to go too far with this. So all I did was I just went ahead and stuffed the seal section of it, reinstalled that port piece that was actually missing right there. I made sure to add plenty of glue here because I wanted my air to route correctly. Okay, so right now what you guys are seeing me doing is marking out the schematics on top, because once you place this thing on top, you don't really know where the wood is, and even using this sometimes you can make a mistake, but it's best to do this and not to have anything at all. When you drill down into this thing, you want to make certain that your screw is going into wood, or that your brad nails are hitting wood and not just bouncing off and projecting anywhere and everywhere inside of the cabinet, especially when you incorporate a sealed section with any design. So that's what you see me doing right now. It's just another dummy proof method that you can use in order to ensure that your build goes as planned. And right now I'm just using some clamps to make sure that nothing moves. That's the worst thing that can happen, is that you do all this schematics and all this planning, and then once you get to screwing down, if this thing move any on that first screw, everything is going to be thrown off. And with such thin wood like this, there's not many do-overs. So you want to go ahead and make sure this thing don't move, get all your polish driven, and once you get all the polish driven, you can go ahead and then drive the screws home. And that's what you see me doing right here. I know some of you are going to notice that those schematics look a little bit different. And that's because, even doing this, you can make a mistake. And so I had to do a do-over because I did make a mistake. And now the new schematics is definitely hitting home. And you can tell once you drill into this thing whether you're hitting wood or not. So on that first mistake, just stop, because if that one is off, there's most likely something else is off. But for the rest of the duration of this, everything was solid, and it turned out pretty good. And if you guys are wondering about the screws that I'm using, these are actually deck screws. I bought them from Lowe's or Home Depot a while ago. I bought 3 buckets of them. The ones I'm using here are 1 5/8, but I got all the way up to 3 inches. And they do really, really good. It's just that, by me not wanting this to be a permanent build, I had to use screws, because if you glue it, good luck getting your woofer back. So that's what I'm doing right here, and just in case you guys were wondering. I like to take this time to announce the launch of my first merch store. This is budgetbasedmerch.store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and cups. Hopefully this here will give you guys another way of being able to support the channel. You have asked for this for a long time, and here it is. Hope you guys like what you see. Thanks in advance. All right, so as you guys can see, I got the horn enclosure here. That's a front loaded horn enclosure. You can kind of see the schematics on top. This is a sealed chamber right here. That's sealed off. And the horn progresses onward. It's a front loaded horn enclosure. For our control, we're going to be using a sealed enclosure that houses the same 4-inch driver that's on the inside of this horn enclosure. And we're going to see what the sound signature differences are in between a horn and a sealed enclosure. All right. To keep an eye on our wattage, we're going to be using the SMD AMM1. This is an audio multimeter, and it's going to measure our real world output in wattages. It gives you the impedance value and the wattage in real time. It also has a dyno mode, but this is not an SPL test, so we're not really worrying about that. A little bit on the setup. This front stage, my front stage is going to be ran by these two coaxial speakers. They're going to be run off of the Taramps DS440x4. That's a 440x4. Give you about 100 watts per channel. Everything is being processed through the DSP. This is the Dayton Audio DSP 408. 4 channels in, 8 channels out. These 4 channels are going to be run to this door speaker. To process everything, we're going to be using the Dayton Audio DSP 408. 4 channel input coming from the head unit, the Toto F7. 8 outputs. 4 of these are going to be for front stage, going to the 4 channel amplifier. 2 of these. Jesus. 2 of these channels are going to be run to the Sound5 4 channel amplifier. We're only going to be using 2 of these channels for the 2 subwoofers. These 2 channels on the Dayton Audio DSP is dedicated for subwoofer. I have them crossed over at 100 hertz. I'm going to be using the bass knob in order to control how much output that we get. This bass knob is multifunctional. You can select presets. You can control channel 7 and 8 independently, which is our sub bass channels. And it's also work as a main gain for all channels. We're going to start off with it on 20. If you give it a long press, that's the sub bass channel. Right now it's at 40. And we're going to put it on around 30. This amplifier actually has crossovers in which you can select for these 2 individual sections of the amplifier. This section has 2 channels. This section has 2 channels, typically front and rear. You can do high pass, which is only going to be mids and highs. You can do full, which we're going to leave it at for now. And you can also use this as a low pass for bass. We're going to put it on full range so you guys can see what these speakers sound like with their bass. Then we're going to put it on high pass and allow these subwoofer enclosures to play the bass. All right, so let's get it. This song is from Epidemic Sounds. It's called Silver Tears. Artist is called Dream. Let's hit play. I now have them on high pass, no bass, very low bass coming from them now. We're now going to add the sealed enclosure to the mix. Man, I don't know if y'all can tell or not. Hold on, let me turn this fan off. Man, I don't know if y'all can tell or not. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up. But that thing is slapping. Goodness. It's slapping hard. Like, I was liking this. This is good control, right? I like that good punchy bass. But man, this is different. And you gotta understand, this one has more internal volume, so it can get a little bit lower. You know what I mean? It's a gradual roll off. But this one don't have that much. You get what I'm going with this? It have. Let's do this. Let's check this out. Because it's the same thickness of wood and everything. So you got, I want to say that's corner to corner. You see that? Yeah, so it stops here. Right there. No. It stops there. So that chamber, that corner, let's line this corner up. Boom. All right, it ain't quite half, but it's close enough. It cuts right across. So you got about half. This is twice the cabin space as this one. But man, it competes. I ain't lying. Look, I wish I would have made this the same volume as this. That would have been an equal comparison if it had the same exact volume as that one had. Now I'm curious to see what they sound like together, right? I know you got I know y'all want to see that. So let me back the song up, and we're gonna get everything connected. All right, let's get this song backed up to around right there, and let's hit it. Woo. That sounds so good. That sounds so good. Woo. That's not a lot of power, guys. Woo. This thing slapping, man. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit more. I wanna see it. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit more. I wanna see what it sounds like. This is crazy. Woo. Woo. It's walking away. Man, I swear, y'all, I am not exaggerating this. This thing here is a monster. I love it. All right, so one thing I just noticed here is that this guy right here, punchy. It's tuned way up high. It's that kick drum bass. That's what this thing is doing because it has such a small chamber to work with, right? But this one actually is digging a little deeper, man. I think this thing is tuned to like 65 hertz or something. I forget what it's tuned to. But man, it's digging, bro. It sounds really good, and that's what I'm talking about. Like you can tune these to like 60-something hertz, but they'll dig into the 50s. You know what I mean? Because of that gradual roll off. And see, this one isn't digging as deep. It's like a punch in your face, like You can feel it, like you can feel it a little bit when it's a punch. But this one don't. I mean, it has punch, but it's not as pronounced as this guy right here. But together, man, they work really good. It really make me wish I know I said that I'm beating the dead horse that I had made this cabin here the same volume as that cabin, but whatever. Still sounds good. Let's go on to another song. This here's called The Grinch by somebody named Cushion. Woo! Golly. Woo! That's crazy. Dog. Man, y'all gotta love that, man. Y'all see what I'm talking about now. Like this one here, man, them upper notes, it is killing it. But when he come in, hey, this is amazing. And like I said, guys, this translate up. Okay, this goes to all size woofers. They behave the same way. Okay, let's go to another song and then we're gonna be done with this. All right. Tried and fired. Let's go to another one. Up flat. Now that's up first. Damn my beats. This is called En Route from 91 Nova. All right, let's start off with the horn. I love it. I love that, man. I love that. I love this. Hopefully you guys are learning something from this. It's very, very fun doing these type of projects, and I'm going to be bringing you guys more content like this. So stick around. We still got other band pass enclosures that we're going to be doing, and we have some more horn type enclosures that we're going to be doing. So there y'all have it, man. This horn is amazing. But hey, we got to talk pros and cons first, right? That's why we're here. This is a learning experience, right? All right. So first off, pros. Let's go to sealed enclosure. First pro of a sealed enclosure is the size of it. Look how small this guy is in comparison to the horn enclosure. This thing, if you wanted to play lower notes, is actually going to be bigger than this, believe it or not. This right here is a very musical device, okay? The horn is taller and it's wider. It has more depth. and everything. But what do you get for that trade-off is the output. You get the accuracy of this guy with the efficiency of this waveguide design. Doesn't take a lot of power in order to project sound. All right, so another pro to the sealed enclosure other than size is cone control. All right, we're talking cone control. Because it's a sealed enclosure, it builds up pressure in there and you get that spring effect, right? So that control, that keeps the cone from going all loose and sloppy. The voice coil isn't leaving the gap as much, so it's more control within that magnetic field. And guess what? This guy right here has a sealed enclosure. Got the accuracy from this little small chamber. Got the sound, the SPL, from this big mouth horn on the front of it. Very, very good stuff, man. Another pro to the sealed enclosure would be the roll off of a sealed enclosure is very, very gradual. It's very gradual. It doesn't roll, the bass doesn't roll off very quickly. You understand? It probably doesn't get as deep as a ported enclosure, but it still has that gradual roll off. So one that's tuned into the 40s will dig into the 30s. Sometimes you just have to EQ that back into the mix. All right, keep in mind, this is a sealed section as well, so it gets that benefit as well. You understand? But the trade-off, of course, would be the size of this thing. Man, look at that. So application, where would you find this application and this application? This application can be found anywhere. Anywhere? Anywhere. Home audio, car audio, concerts, you name it. This thing right here is everywhere. This, on the other hand, you're not gonna find everywhere. Now, horn enclosures are mainly for home audio where you got like maybe a small full range driver and you want to give some bass extension to that little bitty driver. People would create back loaded horns, tap horns. In this case, we have a front loaded horn, and they would get the increased output of this horn enclosure for bass extension for those small subs. And you also see these at concert settings, open field settings. Why? Because they're very directional. If you guys would take a look, if I was to stand this guy up, this is typically how you would see them in what is called a line array. They would stack these things on top of each other. You would have sometimes up to 10 of these, 15 of them stacked on top of each other, projecting sound out into an audience. That's what these things are known for. The tapped horn design is very akin to this, and they also have a back-loaded design where you can see the front of the woofer, and they will incorporate the same horn style right here. Some people call these bass scoops, okay? But just keep in mind, bass scoops are typically rear-loaded design, and this is a front-loaded design that incorporates a sealed chamber. Anyway, hope you guys learned something from this. This was very, very fun. I do plan on bringing you guys even more of these, so stay tuned, and you guys may see another design that you haven't seen as much. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Bass Head, and I'm out.